And they both have their issues. Like discovery writers their characters tend to feel much more alive.
Right.
Because people don't just follow, like our lives don't follow this on rails track.
Right.
Our lives are messy. And the decisions we make sometimes are bad, and they're just spur of the moment stuff. And so plus the discovery writer really has to let their character drive their story.
Right.
It becomes what would this character do? I just had this thing happen I wasn't expected. What does this person do? And so your characters tend to be very alive, but your endings tend to be terrible, right? Because you just are like, I didn't know this was coming. Now we're at the ending and done.
Right.
And on the other hand, outline writers tend to have these fantastic endings that we push toward forever, but you have this danger of your characters feeling like these little pieces that you're just moving around on a board toward this ending. And that's why a lot of thrillers have great endings but weak characters.
Right.
You'll read in the thriller market this sort of thing. That's why literary fiction tends to have these amazing characters and these awful plots. Because you'll read about these deep characters making decisions, but it's not going anywhere.
Right.
And that actually fits for those genres. There's no reason to not do that, but I kind of feel that the best writing is someone who learns to hybridize these two. The discovery writer that learns to say, okay, I'm going to build toward this ending, or I'm going to write my whole book and then rewrite it knowing the ending.
Knowing the characters.
I'm naturally an outline writer, not a discovery writer. And for me, the challenge early in my writing career was to make my characters feel alive and not just pieces on a chessboard. And so I had to take what I was good at doing and say, okay, this leads me to naturally do things one way. How can I incorporate some of this to make my characters more alive? And part of that became for me, I can't ever write my ending first. I've got to start at the beginning, and I've got to follow the characters through, and I have to have a very fluid outline that is changing as the characters are making the decisions, but I always have the outline and know where I'm going.
Right.
And this hybrid method...
Do you literally make an outline?
I
literally, in your head?
I literally make an outline. My outline is not heading A, subparagraph B. It's a list of bullet points and goals. It's like, imagine like your video game, your list of achievements.
Yep.
That's my outline. All these are the achievements I want to have occur in my book. And underneath them is like the requirements. If I'm going to unlock the achievement of this character, discovers how to use the magic at this important point, I've got to have, these moments of learning how to use the magic, and these moments of this character's, establishing their motivation and all of this stuff. And so I have all that written down, and then I kind of free-form each chapter out of a bunch of these pieces. I'm like, we're gonna do something cool with the magic in this chapter. What are we gonna do? The characters gotta change. What are they gonna? What's gonna happen in this? And so I try to free-form more of each of those chapters.
Man, that's awesome. Mm-hmm. Well, so maybe this is getting too specific and too nerdy, but like when I was reading Mistborn, I was just blown away by the outlining that you must have done to be able to foreshadow things in the first book, where it's like, oh my goodness, there were things I read in the first chapter of Vin, that have a huge impact on events in the third book, and that it's something that was so rare to me to see in that kind of writing that was so well. Everyone talks about it, but I think a lot of people just make up as they go along, and so now that you're embarking on
Way of Kings, my notes
are there things? Are there things like that? Are there things
there's tons. The problem is it's harder and harder to trick people because now they've read all my stuff and they're like, I bet there's something in this chapter. I'm going to go find out what it is.
Sure.
And things like that. And so it is a lot harder to trick people. I still hope I
don't even care if it's tricking as much as it just means.
But it's all seeded.
To me, it's what makes it feel so real and fully realized when it's like, oh man, Brandon really did know where this was all going, 9 books ago, and he was building towards this. It just will make whatever ending is there just that much more satisfying and believable, and that's so awesome.
I felt that Mistborn would be my calling card. Like, I wanted this trilogy to be tight. It was going to be the card that I'm like, if people are going to pick up and read my books, they're probably going to end up with Mistborn.
Right.
And even still, I recommend that's the place to start.
That's the place to start.
Is go pick up Mistborn. And so I wanted it to show exactly what I do as a writer, what I do well, what is going to be my theme. I think that in the end, Stormlight will be a better series. But I think Mistborn is a much better calling card.
Right. Interesting. Well, so you said you're naturally an outliner.
Yeah.
What made you that? Is it just
when you sit down to start writing, it's like, why are you naturally an artist? Like, naturally is the wrong way to write it, to say it. I mean, but there's certain talents, certain ways of thinking that you have that make you do things.
So that's cool. I mean, were there things that influenced? So I've heard you talk a lot about books that influenced you growing up and things like that. But like now with Steelheart.
Yes.
So Steelheart, I've read and I love. I think it's such an awesome book. And I can see its roots in your other writing, but it's superheroes.
It's superheroes.
So what made you want to write a superhero book?
I think that superheroes are part of this like common nerd unconsciousness that we have going on. It's like it's something we're all excited about and have been excited about for forever. And it's intertwined with all of this. And I didn't have a chance to do something like this. Hadn't had a chance to do it before.
Right.
Beyond that, I wanted to write an action movie. And my favorite action movies lately have been superhero movies, right?
Yep.
Things like The Avengers or The Dark Knight, which are just fantastic action movies. That's my favorite stuff lately. And I wanted to write this. And when I see something exciting and something great, I'm like, I want to do that.
Right.
I'm going to do that. And so it was me wanting to write an action movie, wanting to do some superhero stuff, but wanting to add my own spin on it. I actually don't pitch it to people usually as a superhero book because I pitch it as an action movie. It's, but it's about what happens when people start getting superpowers, but only evil people get them. It's like I wanted to take my own little twist on this and do something fun with it. But yeah, it was... I get excited about something, so I write it. A lot of fun. Thank you. But I actually got to get back to work because I've got to finish your book.
That's right. Right now, Brandon's finishing up Infinity Blade Redemption, which is so awesome, and I can't wait for all of you guys to read it right now. Go get it.
Sequel to Infinity Blade 2.